Your life up to this point is the sum result of all the decisions that you have ever made up until now. But do the choices that you make and the thoughts that you think have an impact on your overall health? And do you ever think or say things like, I'm not good enough, or things will never get better for me? Are you always thinking and speaking things that are negative about yourself? Have you ever noticed that your health corresponds with your life events? Do you just feel sick and tired about being sick and tired? Well, it's been proven that what you think has the ability to alter and control your genetic makeup second to second. It is called epigenetics. So what if I told you that you have the ability to become your own brain surgeon and fix your brain and fix your life? You cannot control the circumstances that happen in life, but you can control how you will react to them. It's all happening. It's all happening. It's all happening. My name is Santiago, and if this kind of content interests you, then please feel free to like and follow for more. Now, for the sake of not alienating my viewers, I'm going to remove a lot of the complex and detailed science aspects out of this talk. I just want to focus on the main points and ideas, which is what matters. So let's start with the basics. Your heart pumps blood to every cell in your body. Since your heart is controlled by your brain, every single cell in your body is affected by your thoughts. That is why how you feel inside or emotionally can affect your health. Research shows 75% to 98% of a person's physical and mental illness comes from their own thoughts and mental habits, which leaves only up to 25% of those illnesses as a result of bad genes or environment. Sure, you may have certain genes in your body passed down from generation to generation, but how you think will determine if those genes are activated or not. Here's a simplified example of this. Now, let's just say that your family has a history of high blood pressure. Now, let's say that you already have it set in your mind that you too will have high blood pressure. Not only that, but you also say out of your mouth that one day you will have high blood pressure. Since you already made up your mind and accepted it, your body will obey, and you have just given yourself a self-proclaimed prophecy. So once that's set in motion, is there no turning back, and is your life doomed forever? No, actually. The same way that you convinced yourself you would get a certain illness, you can reverse that charge or effect by thinking and speaking the opposite. Neurosurgeon Dr. Carolyn says it like this: what your mind creates, only your mind can take away. In-depth research at HeartMath Institute concluded that your thoughts, imagination, and choices that you make can change the structure of your DNA and neurons in your brain, trickling down to every level: molecular, genetic, structural, cellular, chemical, electromagnetic, as well as subatomic. This is epigenetics. So this all may seem like interesting information to you, but you probably want to know how this plays a part in a practical or in day-to-day life. Fantastic. Let me show you. Psychiatrist Bryan Hodges has done an in-depth study into this phenomenon called medical student syndrome. The premise is that the majority of students studying certain medical conditions or illnesses end up thinking that they actually have that condition. And by a majority, I mean research shows up to 80% of medical students experience this. An example would be someone studying Parkinson's, which is a neurodegenerative brain disease which causes people to shake. A student who is well aware of all the symptoms may notice their arms or legs trembling one day. Then they might notice that their balance is a little off. Then they might notice that they have difficulty smelling things. Because the student is knowledgeable of the symptoms, their brain may trick their body into manifesting these conditions due to the worrying and dwelling on it. What you think about the most grows. So the student goes to get a checkup in fear that they have early Parkinson's. Turns out the trembling and coordination issues was just due to anxiety and lack of sleep due to the final exams. The lack of smell was due to sinus congestion. but the student might automatically think the worst due to prior knowledge. Now, I want to share a real-life experience from a medical student in their own words. I came across this, and this just validates the medical student syndrome.
My personal experience with medical student syndrome is actually a very interesting one. I've never been the one to be anxious about diseases. However, until I joined medical school and I started learning about all these different diseases, it's very difficult for you to ignore certain symptoms that you feel right after you have heard about a certain disease. Let me put this into a better perspective for you. I remember to this day when Emilia Clarke, the actress from Game of Thrones, once in an interview said that she had subarachnoid hemorrhage, and she's fairly young. She's in her early 30s, I think, or late 20s if I'm not mistaken. And she said that she was at the gym and she felt a very severe headache, and she went to get it checked, and it turned out to be a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Now, because I'm a medical student and I'm also someone who suffers through migraines, I was once just sitting down and I had a migraine, a really, really bad headache that came out of nowhere, and my brain straight away went into thinking that I have a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Now, obviously I knew that I wasn't really having it, but it was not easy for me to tell maybe the little brain that was telling me that it is subarachnoid hemorrhage that it is not. So I remember spending a few minutes Googling what the symptoms of subarachnoid hemorrhages actually are, and I eventually ended up calming myself down because I only had one symptom, which was a headache and nothing else. Now on to more serious stuff. I'm going to read to you some quotes from doctors who actually have some experience in this field and let you know what they say about the history and the current state of this medical student syndrome. This is what Dr. George Lincoln Walton, who is a neurologist at the Massachusetts General Hospital, had to say about medical student syndrome. He says that medical instructors are continually consulted by students who fear that they have the disease that they are studying. The knowledge that pneumonia produces pain in a certain spot leads to a concentration of attention upon the region which causes any sensation there to give alarm. The mere knowledge of the location of the appendix transforms the most harmless sensation in that region into symptoms of serious menace.
So to summarize that, medical instructors are constantly being approached by concerned students who think that they have the condition that they are studying. And in this specific example, when the students have knowledge about a pain in a particular spot, they hyper-focus on that spot to the point where any little sensation in that area sends them to panic. So let's carry on.
In the 1960s, it was suggested at that time that this phenomenon caused a significant amount of stress for students and was present in approximately 70 to 80% of students.
The same medical student, who is now a doctor by the way, he did his own independent, unofficial study on Instagram. He asked his followers the following question in a survey. Have you ever read or heard about a disease and its symptoms and genuinely thought you had the disease or were worried that you had the disease? The majority of his Instagram followers, and I imagine, are in the medical field. The survey results came back at a whopping 83% of them said yes to this hypochondriasis phenomenon. So now, this isn't to deter someone from going into the medical field unless you're already a hypochondriac. It may not be the best idea for you long-term stress-wise, but if you're going to go into this field, you just need to take an extra step to focus on your well-being and your mental health just to be able to resist those negative thoughts. But like Wu-Tang said, protect your neck and your brain. So bottom line, what you put your energy and thought into causes it to grow. So don't let your negativity consume you. In the Bible, Job says it like this: what I feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. And on a personal account, I watched my mom struggle with cancer. I saw how much cancer and chemo took a toll on her. I never feared cancer as much up until I saw my mom go through it. After that, I feared that and dreaded that the most. So what do you think I ended up getting? Yep, I got it. I wrote a fascinating book about my incredible journey with that called Pieces by Carlos Santiago, which is available on Amazon and on my website if you're interested in. So now, what can you do about your negative thought patterns? And if you haven't already seen part 1 of this series, definitely check it out for more great info. First, you need to be self-grounded. If you are tired of having the same symptoms and outcomes, you need to switch your mindset. Now, this can be difficult if you've been dwelling on negativity for years and years, but I am proof that this works. I used to be the most negative person ever, but I believed that I had a lot of reason to be, but little did I know, a lot of that stuff going on with me was self-perpetuated. I had bad days every day. A good day for me was where a day that not that much bad stuff happened, and that was a good day for me. But if I would have known what I know now, I would have approached life's challenges differently. And if you are watching this video, that means you have the chance to do that now. You can start with gratitude. Neuroscientist Carolyn concluded that meditating on positivity, such as what you are grateful for and Jesus' teachings, just about 5 to 16 minutes a day, produced a healthier outlook on life. Yes, your faith in God plays a pivotal role. Large-scale studies with people with HIV or cancer fared much better with those in faith in God versus those who didn't. Their level of gratitude was much different. You may not think that you have a lot to be grateful for, but think about it. Do you have a device to watch this on? Some people don't. Do you have eyes to see and ears to hear? Start with the stuff that we take for granted, then work yourself up from there. Next, quit feeding the beast. Quit feeding into and accepting negativity in your life. If you have negative friends, get new ones, or just don't spend that much time with them. Yes, it is that serious. Their energy can affect yours. I used to have a lot of friends. Now I barely have any friends at all, but I noticed a significant change on my positivity and health when I cut certain people out. It's good to have alone and me time. That's when you realize who you are, your behaviors and actions when no one is around to see you. So choose life. You can decide to focus on negativity or positivity. Deuteronomy 30:19 says this, "The day I call the heavens and earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. So choose life so that you and your children may live." Ultimately, when you notice yourself thinking or saying something negative about yourself or your situation, you need to catch it, stop it, reject it immediately. This may take practice if you're used to being negative all the time, but soon you'll get the hang of it. Then decide to dwell on the good and the positive of that situation and imagine it working out for the best. And an additional tip is to feel gratitude and thank God that things worked out in your favor, even if they have not. You are planting the seed. Remember, as I said at the beginning of the video, your thoughts can change your DNA and literally restructure your brain in real time. So focus on the good and be grateful for your good health, even if you are sick. Keep in mind, if you say that you can or cannot do something, your brain creates protein synthesis in your body to make that true. So think wisely. There was a lot of aspects in this that I just didn't get a chance to discuss, such as the spiritual component and emotional intelligence, but there's also other reasons where your thoughts and health are kept in bondage and you aren't getting any better. Toxic relationships. But if you did get something out of this video, please like and follow for more, and I'll catch you next time.